everybody. This is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a layout that I made for Mixed Media Mayhem. This week, Adam Westwood, or Scrappy Adam, he chose the inspiration piece, and he chose a beautiful layout from our very own MK Gunn, and you could see that layout in the upper left-hand corner. I love the green mixed media and all of the gears on her layout. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm using a very different color scheme, and I rotate the layout because my photo is a vertical rather than the horizontal photo that she used on her layout. I'm going to be scrapbooking a photo of my daughter Julia. She went down to Manhattan and she went to Dylan's Candy Bar with a bunch of her friends quite a few years ago now. And I had saved the bag that she brought her candy home in, and I'm going to be using that bag on the scrapbook layout. And I really did not expect to use it as much as I did, but I used far more of the bag than I did any pattern papers, although I do incorporate some pattern papers into the layout. I'm sorry that I didn't capture the whole process of taking the bag and cutting it into pieces, but I can describe to you what I did. So the bag had very colorful stripes, those ones that you see right here, going down either side. It also had the name Dylan's Candy Bar on either side of the bag, so I cut the name of the shop out. And then they also have their own, I guess it's like a logo. It looks like 4 different circles, and each one is made into a different item that you can buy at their store. So that is going to go on the layout as well across the top. Right now, I am mounting my photo. This is a 4x6 inch photo that I cropped down a little bit on the top and the bottom. And I have mounted it on some white cardstock, and now I'm mounting it on some Vicki Boutin pattern paper. That's from the Color Study collection. MK has a strip going up and down on her layout. Mine is going to be horizontal. So I used the stripes from the sides of the bag, and then I mounted those stripes on some white cardstock. I have a large strip of red starred pattern paper behind that. That is a Bella Blvd paper. I also cut out some scalloped yellow paper as a border on either side of the strips, and I end up moving that around quite a bit on the layout. I took that logo that I mentioned and I mounted on some white cardstock, and then again on the red starred pattern paper that I used on the center strip. And now I'm taking the Dylan's Candy Bar. I mounted on some white cardstock again, and then on the Color Study paper that I used to mount the photo. And then I mounted it once again on the red pattern paper with the stars. That horizontal strip goes through some changes as the layout progresses. Because those stripes were from the sides of the bag, there are some fold lines on them, and at first I thought I would be okay with the fold lines, but then I thought of a way to cover them up that I like, and you'll see that in a little bit. So now I have the strips mounted still on the white cardstock, and then I mounted them on the red pattern paper, and now I'm mounting that strip again on some more white cardstock. I used a Fisker's border punch, and I punched out some scalloped borders using some yellow pattern paper. I don't end up using these border strips, but I do keep them for quite a while. I wanted to, like I said, cover up that fold line, and I really like this border, and it matched pretty well. This is a very old Martha Stewart border. I think it's really pretty. The problem with it, though, is it is super, super dimensional, and that wouldn't have been an issue if I wasn't resting my photo on top of it. The photo was up so high if I rested it on top of the border, and if I cut the border so that the photo would fit on either side, the border would be higher than the photo, and I just didn't think that would look right either. Right now, I thought maybe I could put some foam underneath it. I actually think I would have needed to use about 3 layers of foam to begin with to get it high enough that it wouldn't wobble on top of this border, but it was fine that I popped it up because I would have popped it up anyway later on. Now I'm popping up the title and the logo that's on the top using some fun foam. I'm not going to attach anything down yet because I want to do some mixed media on the background. So right now I'm just getting everything ready and planning where I'm going to put everything. I covered the back of both of those with the foam, and then I decided that that border wasn't going to work. At first I thought maybe I would use that yellow strip of paper, and I switched out the stripes that were at the end. I just didn't like that particular piece. It was very folded because it was at the bottom where there's like a little triangular fold as well. So I used a different piece that had less folding on it. So then I thought maybe I would use this solution. This looks pretty good. That is the Color Study paper again, and this is a piece of yellow paper from my stash. But ultimately I didn't like any of these solutions, so I ended up peeling all of it up, and I still didn't really think of anything. I really like it just like that, but like I said, that fold was really getting to me. So I am attaching the photo down to the strip, and like I said, I'm not attaching anything down to the background yet. That is a thick piece of white cardstock. It's already gessoed, so that is the piece of paper I'm going to use for the mixed media. I use a Fisker's scalloped border punch, and I punch some photo corners from the leftover bag, and so I have 4 different color photo corners. In the envelope that I have with all of my candy embellishments, I found these beautiful Martha Stewart dots. I remember buying these. These are extremely old, and I bought a couple of them because I just loved them. I didn't know what exactly I was going to do with them. I'm sure I used some of them along the way, but I thought these were perfect for this layout. They look like candy. They're just the right colors. So I put some at the top, and the adhesive on them is totally shot. It doesn't work at all, so I have to end up using my own adhesive. But I do go back and attach all of these dots down again with some glue. Right now, it seems I'm adding some ATG adhesive, but that is just to keep them put for a little while. Like I said, you really need some glue to hold those down long term. I wanted to put a border around the outside. What's challenging about using this bag is that because it's laminated and the colors are so bright, it's very hard for me to find papers in my collection that match the intensity of the shiny bright colors from the bag. I think that the red star pattern paper and the blue Color Study paper, I think those are the same intensity. I think those worked. And I looked through my stash and I found this piece of striped yellow paper, and I think that yellow is pretty close to the yellow that I already have on the layout, so I thought that this would be a good paper to use as a border. I gutted it and then I attached it to another piece of paper, and then I cut this piece of cardstock that I'm going to put my mixed media on back just a little bit. It measures about 11¼ inches square now. So I'm using a pencil and I marked where all of the large embellishments are going to be so that I know where to put my mixed media. I am not going to go crazy with the mixed media. I just want to have some touches in the background. I decided on using the turquoise color and the yellow, and I thought that those 2 colors would look nice with the colors I already have on the layout. And for these colors, I'm using 2 different Lindy sprays. They're both Starburst sprays. The blue is called Blue Hawaiian Blue, and the yellow is called Yellow Rose of Texas. And I find that I'm using these 2 colors a lot lately. They are turning into staples when I use mixed media on my backgrounds. I'm using the packaging technique, just using some plastic and squishing the color down. I am not worried that the yellow and the blue will mix together and make green because there is some green on the layout, but I'm not trying to make them blend together either. So I don't always show it, but I dry each layer of paint with my heat tool. That way there might be some mixing together of the colors, but that does help to keep the colors separate. And I really like on MK's layout the way she has the mixed media all kind of in that center cluster. I didn't end up doing that. Just I thought that it would look nice for this layout if there was just a little bit of color spread out all around the background. I never know exactly what I'm going to do with mixed media until I start. I was planning on just having the color in a concentrated area, but then once I got started, I spread it all over, and like I said, for this layout, I think that it turned out okay. I'm adding another layer of the turquoise. I really like building up the color by adding several layers. And I'm adding some splatters. Some of the blue areas are still a little wet, so the splatters will still make an impact on the layout. It just will make some of the large areas of color look like they have variation in them. But it's also nice to put splatters on the paint when it's dry. That creates a different effect where you could see each of the splatters a little bit more clearly. And then when the blue splatters are dry, I add some yellow splatters. And mainly I'm putting the splatters on top of the same color. Of course, the splatters are going to spread around, but I'm mainly aiming them at the large areas of yellow. When I did the same thing, I tried to get the blue splatters on the blue areas, but splatters will go where they would like to go. Now, my very favorite technique, which is sprinkling water over the top of sprays and then using a paper towel to lift up the water, and it makes these cool little like droplets inside the areas of color, and I just love that effect, and so I do it all the time. And sometimes I will do it more than once, which I did just then. As soon as I held that border strip against the yellow background, I realized that it was the wrong color yellow, so I peeled that off. I think it looks better without it. It was too much, and it was the wrong color yellow. Off camera, I took that mixed media background and I ran it through my laminator twice. It was warped, so that helped to flatten it out quite a bit. I put a whole lot of ATG adhesive on the back of it, and then I attached it down to the background that I made before, and now it's laying very flat. And now I'm going to attach down the logo at the top, that big strip with the photo in the center, and then I'm also going to attach down the title at the bottom. I wasn't sure if I should cut that long strip a little bit shorter. I decided though to let it overlap the yellow border around the outside. I think it looked fine either way, but that's what I finally decided to do. Sometimes I really stress over these very little decisions. And this time I had a little bit of trouble with the ATG adhesive sticking to the foam. Sometimes it goes on really easily and other times it does not, and this was one of the times that it did not. So this is my solution to that crease in the striped paper. I took a little bit of the paper that I had earlier cut off, and I attached it down to another piece of white cardstock because that makes it easier to cut than trying to work with that really skinny piece of paper. And then I cut a thin strip and I decided to layer it over the top of the paper so that it would match. And I'm not trying to make it look like the paper isn't there. I thought it would be kind of cool if I popped it up on some foam, and the crease on the two sides didn't align, but I almost thought that that looked kind of interesting to have one of the lines further down than the other line. It's a very subtle touch, but I think it served its purpose. Now you can't see the crease, and then I have another little bit of dimension on the layout and just adds a little bit of interest to the page. So I was happy with that. I'm not sure if everybody would make that same choice, but I think that it worked out. So I finally decided that since I did not have a pink jewel, I was going to replace the pink photo corner with another red photo corner. And then I used those same jewels and I put them at the bottom on the title. I ended up moving those jewels to the other side. I had this gumball machine that I thought was just perfect. I think that was from a Fancy Pants chipboard set. I'm not 100% sure, but I was really happy that it had the same blues and reds as my layout. There was also a tiny little pile of M&Ms, and those colors match really well too, so I decided that I would add those in as well. I used a sheet of Sticko peppermints and I added those all over the background. They were all different sizes and all different colors, so I chose the ones that matched with this layout and I used them as kind of little sprinkles in the background. This sticker with 2 lollipops was from a Paper Studio sticker pack. I put it on a piece of white cardstock because it was clear and it was really flimsy and I wanted to give it a little bit more weight, and I add that to the corner of the title. And I realized that even though I've been collecting candy stickers and other embellishments for a long time, most of them are pastel colors. So it was a little hard finding things that went really well with this layout. I decided to put the gumball machine closer to the photo. I just felt that the photo needed to have some embellishments that were close to it. And then I added another round of those Sticko embellishments. I had a big pink one up at the top of the photo. I wanted to have some other larger ones, so I added a couple that were a little bit larger. And I added some more small ones too. In the bottom of that Dylan's Candy Bar shopping bag, I found this sticker and I literally had to take it out of the garbage. I was throwing away the scraps. There was this sticker that says Dylan's Candy Bar, so I punched it out using a circle punch, and then I punched a slightly larger circle using another circle punch, and I decided to make that into an embellishment. There was also a receipt in the bottom of the bag, and I'm going to save that. I have another layout that I'm going to make of the same topic, so I'm going to somehow incorporate that receipt into a tag or a pocket or something. I want to make sure that I save that. That was good to see what she purchased. I think that she'll like having that. So to add a little bit more sparkle to the layout, I'm using these little tiny faceted jewels. They're Trico brand. I got them at a dollar store. They just add a very tiny little bit of sparkle. They're white, so they don't add another color, but they do add just another little detail to the layout, and I'm sprinkling those around the mixed media. And that is the final touch. Here are some close-ups of the layout. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and thank you so much for staying till the very end. I hope that you will take a look in the description box. You will see links to the channels of all the other scrapbookers who are creating layouts for this week's Mixed Media Mayhem. And we're welcoming a new collaborator, Sandy Reversky, also known as State Goddess. She is joining the Mixed Media Mayhem crew, and we're looking forward to seeing what she creates. I hope that everybody has a great day, and I'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.